know that because it was Kevin's birthday. But on the other end of the phone, I have got someone much closer to our hearts, and that is Sandi Thom. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, fine. Thank you very much. I was reading on your website that you had a bit of the flu.
Oh, I've got tonsillitis.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's getting better.
Oh.
It's better to get it now than to get it in the middle of the tour.
Well, of course.
So, yeah, but it's just I've sort of been quite manic, and we've been doing 12-hour rehearsal days, and it always it's pretty much, without a doubt, I will always get ill before I go on tour.
Well, it's sort of, it takes it out of you, doesn't it? I mean, people don't appreciate just how much goes into a tour. I think they think that you just pack a bag and off you go.
Yeah, it's hard work, but it's all majorly worth it in the end.
Of course,
it's the greatest job alive. So.
Now, of course, you're a good Scottish girl, having been born in Macduff. Fantastic. And that, for anyone who's listening, is between Elgin and Fraserburgh, if I'm right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, right,
I would
there
say
you go.
So.
And tell us how you get started then, Sandi. I mean, did you come from a musical family, or was it?
Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad's he plays guitar and sings.
All right.
Although he's a pilot by profession, but he was always singing when I was little, and and my auntie, his sister, taught me to play piano, and she's a great pianist, and his brother is a bass player, so they've all got musical tendencies. And then on my mother's side of the family, my mum has a lot of, she has 7 sisters. My poor grandmother had 8 girls, and my poor grandfather never had a son.
Oh, no.
But his 8 girls, and they're all very talented, poetic, and one's an author, and so they're very much very lyricist, very poetical people. And,
yeah.
And yeah, I guess I was very lucky to have that being brought up because of the fact that my parents both had that background. They never saw music as being a cop out or anything. So it was they saw it as a real proper bona fide profession, and
that's good. That's
I always
good.
had an interest in it, from when I was very young, and it just stayed with me really throughout life. It was a passion that I guess I could never lay down. It was always there when I woke up.
And when did you start performing then? Was it quite young?
Yeah, I happened by complete coincidence to end up in this band when I was 14,
right,
called The Residents, and it was because I stumbled upon their rehearsal in the back of this pub, and I wanted to be part of a band, and I was really itching to do something, and I started singing for them, and they were really impressed, and they said, "Do you want to be part of the band?" So I ended up going out on the road with them. I mean, I was really young, so obviously my mom and dad were quite good to let me out at that age, and we played a lot of bars and a lot of social clubs and weddings and things, and we were basically just a covers band, but we were really well known in the area, so for me, when I was that age, I just thought it was like the best thing in the world, I felt like I was famous. So that's when I started doing live stuff, and then I played with them until I was 18, until I left to go to the uni in the Performing Arts School in Liverpool.
Right. And that did you continue with music there?
Yeah, I went there to do a degree in Performing Arts, and that was really kind of encompassing all the arts, music, dance, acting, basically every aspect of the arts, and then I obviously specialised in music. So yeah, and that's where I met my band. My band that I have now. They're all basically from Lipa, so I think that was probably the most valuable thing I got from it. The fact that I met those people and we continued that relationship really all the way through my career. So that's the band that will be out on the road with us, and that's the band that I'll play with in Sky. So that was 10 years ago we met. So it's been really, we've been together for a long time. We stick together like glue, really. So.
But that's good, because you get to know one another, and you know everyone's sort of little foibles, etc. And you know if something goes wrong, then someone's going to pick you up and and take you through it. So
exactly,
it's
we're very well. I mean, we know each other very well. So you know, we know what we're saying on stage. It's kind of like, you know, a game of like American football or something when you've got all those random signs that you make.
Indeed.
To try and, you know, let people in on what's going on.
That's right.
We're quite good at communicating through sign on stage, but it's good as well because when you live on a bus, you know, on tour. I mean, I'm the only girl apart from my backing singer. We're the only two girls on tour, and then the rest are boys. So it's quite. These boys have got to be really they've got to be really sensitive to the female side of things, you know.
Indeed.
And you just remember to do things like, you know, put the toilet seat down.
Well, I know that. I know. There's nothing worse than touring with someone that doesn't put the toilet seat down.
Yeah, I mean, it's the golden rule on my bus. It's just if anybody dare not do it, then they get they get a slap for it.
Oh well, maybe sometimes they do it just to get the slap.
Yeah, they definitely wind me up no end, and I can be wound up very easily. And
Can you?
They prey on that. They go,
Now, you shouldn't have said that because people are becoming winding you up. Now, your first album, Smile, It Confuses People, that sold more than, was it 700,000 copies or something?
Yeah, I think it's done probably like 1.5 million.
1.5 million? Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And that's that all came from... Now, tell us a bit about the I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker, because we all know you from the... was it YouTube?
It was actually my own website.
It was your own website.
It's always a grey area. It's always lots of things get MySpace, YouTube, but
yes.
it was my website.
It was your own website.
Yeah.
And you put that up, and that's when that's when the major record labels found you. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know, when I left Liverpool, I moved to London, and I did what most musicians in London do. I basically struggled for a couple of years, and then I landed myself a deal with a publisher as a songwriter, which was great because that kept me afloat. You know, I had some money, and I could basically concentrate on music. And then I met my manager, and we went away and recorded this album. Basically every move that I made up until the point that I after the webcast, after all the kind of crazy stuff that went on in the press after that, I was pretty much developing myself as an independent artist. So I had this album, and we'd done the single, and we made the video, the punk rocker video, and everything. And so we were basically all ready to go, and the webcasting was an idea that was really to promote my album. Yeah. In what way I could, because when you're an indie artist, it's always a lot more difficult to try and get those interviews on radio, get the press, you know, get on telly. So it was an avenue that was open to me, and I thought, well, why not? You know, I'm going to explore this and see what I can do to sort of exploit the music. And you know, it was one of those things that was entirely unpredictable in life. You could have never foreseen it happening, but you know, I emailed my fan base at the time, which was like, I don't know, 2,000 people or something. So they all tuned in, and it was a great experience. And I gigged every night from my basement in the basement of my flat in South London. And it was brilliant. It was good fun. You know, we had 4 or 5 people come down every night and sit in on it, and it was like a little jazz bar or something. But it just went completely ballistic. It ended up, because of the fact that that's the great thing about the internet, because it's global.
Well, that's it, yes.
You know, it's not, you don't see to the end of the venue and that's it. It's like all over the world. And people just, I think, because it was such a poignant subject at the time, it was the things that people talk about in coffee houses, and everybody wanted to know what it was I was doing. Because I think it was completely unbeknown to me, quite kind of, I suppose, sort of pioneering in a way, because it was really new and it was really exciting. So I just had a lot of interest, and then, I mean, it's ironic in a way. Sometimes you need those things to boost your profile, and then all of a sudden these major labels, their heads go up and they look around and they're like, ooh, what's going on here? You know, because I think for a long time before that, I really desperately tried to get, you know, some sort of record deal. So I think that was the one thing that really swung it for me. So.
Well, I mean, you know, it was, you know, at the time it was totally new. It was totally different to what anyone else had done. I suppose people have tried it since and maybe not succeeded as well as you have.
Well, I think the thing is, I think it was just, I was really lucky with the timing. It was some sort of strike while the iron's hot kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think now if you did it, it wouldn't really be so hot.
No, that's right.
Everybody, MySpace, Facebook, everybody's got it. It's sort of integral in life these days,
Yeah.
And so somebody else is going to have to think of something
new. Now, talking about the basement of your flat in Tooting, you recorded the second album there, didn't you?
I did, yeah. When the first album was becoming really successful, I, off the back of that, went all over the world and went to countries that I've never been in my life, to Japan and Australia, and it was fantastic. But it was very difficult at the same time to write this second album in the midst of all that. They always say you've had your whole life to write your first.
Yeah.
And then you get this very short space of time
to write your second.
And it made a lot of sense to me because my boyfriend is actually my producer, and of course we live together, and it really is his studio. So I said to Jake, my boyfriend, will you produce my second album? And that's where he works out of, which just happens to be in the same house as me. So it's all a bit kind of strange in a way, but for me it seems really, really, sensible. So that's where we recorded the second one, and it's incredible what you can do. I mean, it's such a small space. I don't live there anymore. We actually left last August.
All right.
It was a real turning point in life for me. But because we had such great equipment and mics and things, we could record a really great studio album in this little tiny basement. So
well, that's it. You don't need a huge place, do you?
I mean, it's a real inspirational thing for people out there who want to do their own music but think that they have to be in a big fancy studio, because it's really not the case.
No.
You can create, great things in these small little spaces in your houses or whatever.
Now, what was it like supporting George Michael?
It was just incredible. He, I admittedly up until that point I have never been an avid George Michael fan, although I have great respect for him and his music. And but after we would play, we would go and watch him. And it was amazing. I mean, he was playing stadiums, 45,000 people a night, and this was like, we did the Scandinavian leg of it, if you like, Denmark and Norway and things, and it was just mental standing there with so many people. I've never been so completely incapacitated on stage. I mean, I literally got up there and froze for about 10 seconds because it's not the kind of thing you see every day, but it just goes to show. I mean, he sees that all the time. So it made me think, wow, like there's such a massive road ahead of me. There's a real, it's a real challenge to get to that place where he is. And that what an exciting journey to make. But it was just really great, and I watched him. We all watched him afterwards. We literally just got into the crowd and stood there in the middle of these 40,000 people, and he was amazing, really was.
Who are your influences musically, Sandi?
I would say that from an early age, I suppose, like a lot of people, my influences would have come from my parents, and my mum was always very much into the sort of Americana rock music, like Springsteen and John Mellencamp. But also there was sort of little flutters of Carole King and Stevie Wonder and Aretha, lots of different influences really. My mum liked Joni Mitchell when I was younger as well, so and then when I really got into music in a big way, when I went to music school and started to really get into it, I started to discover, the great songwriters like Dylan and, all these, Johnny Cash and Neil Young, and I suppose a lot of it is coming from like 70s America, around that era, around that time. And I guess for me it's probably a bit strange because of my age. You would think that I wouldn't be into music like that, but I find a lot of people my age, especially musicians, really get back into the 70s in a big way.
Well, yes.
Because I think that we're still sort of clinging on to that as being really the greatest musical turning point, in the last sort of 34 years.
There's so many names from that period as well, aren't there?
Yeah,
and
they remain today, So
yeah. So, are you looking forward to coming up to Skye then?
Oh, definitely.
Have you been to Skye before? Have you? Is this the first time?
I've never been. I feel so utterly ashamed.
Oh, never mind. There'll be a huge welcome for you, Sandy, when you come up.
Oh, it'll be really great.
Fantastic.
This tour is going to be fantastic. I mean, the band and I are we're all very excited because they've never been at places like this either. And it's really cool for me because I always find that when you say you're from Scotland, people just think Edinburgh. I mean, I say, oh, well, my mum lives here, and they're like, oh, is that near Glasgow? And you're like, no, it's actually really far away.
Or do you know so-and-so? They always say, do you know, oh, you come from Scotland, do you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it'll be really nice for me to take my band and I, especially me as well, because admittedly, I haven't been back in that direction for a very long time. To the places that you're not so familiar with.
Yes, yeah.
And Scotland is a beautiful country, and I think I need to remind myself of that as well. And I need to come home and really just sort of be completely in awe of all the places that unfortunately are never regularly visited a lot by artists. And so I think it's going to be a really great journey, and I think it'd be quite personal for me as well because I'm going home to where I was actually born in Banff, which is right next to myself. Yes. And we're going to be doing 2 nights there as well. And,
that's good.
That'll be kind of really strange because I'll have loads of school friends and my family, and my dad's a special guest with me that night.
Oh dear!
So there's going to be some really
that's going to be a good one.
Moments along the way. But yeah, we're totally looking forward to it. And we're working very hard. So.
We're certainly looking forward to seeing you when you come up, and I hope the complete tour is a wonderful success, which I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
But we're very pleased that you are coming up, and I just hope that you enjoy yourself when you do arrive.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Well, listen, Sandy, thank you very much for talking to us, especially when you're just getting over a little bit of tonsillitis.
Yeah, that's okay.
And we, as I say, the best of luck with the tour, and we look forward to seeing you on the 7th.
Great. Look forward to it.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.